Joe Biden admits he's going to raise everyone's taxes. I was stunned to hear him say this. I'm glad he did. So a lot of you all think that Joe Biden is just going to raise taxes on people making $400,000 or so. Last night's debates and other times, he stated he will get rid of fossil fuels. He said he's going to ban fracking. He will get rid of fossil fuels. Now, if he gets rid of fossil fuels, what do you think happens to the cost, if you can still get them, of the goods and services you use every day? What do you think happens to the cost of plastic, for instance? We don't need plastic, Josh. Yeah, good luck with that there, big guy. You're driving a car, you know why they can make their gas mileage so much more efficient, or I should say higher instead of more efficient than before. Lots of plastic on there. What do you think? How do you think plastic's made? With solar, with wind, with good old-fashioned fossil fuels, man. I'll do a video later today on all the stuff we rely on fossil fuels for. Just regular common goods. So if you get rid of fossil fuels, how's that stuff made? Hey, if you can get it, B, it's going to be a hell of a lot more expensive than it is. And as such as a tax increase. Never mind the cost to heat your home. Now, this is what always cracks me up. Let's just say, hey, look, Joe Biden's not going to get rid of fossil fuels. He's just not going to. He says he's going to. For some reason, I don't get why the left feels like people are all that concerned about, quote, climate change, unquote, as if it's, as if people, like, most people in America think we're all going to die like the left does. It's weird to me. I think people throw, like, yeah, okay, I'm worried about it. But at the end of the day, notice they're still using fossil fuels, still heating their home with natural gas. Most people still drive ICEs, internal combustion engine vehicles. Most people still cook their food with natural gas on the range. Still using natural gas for heating. So still using propane for heating. Most people are still using fossil fuels. In fact, I would venture every single person, including Tom Steyer and even old Albert Gore, are using fossil fuels in everyday life. Everything you'd use in today's modern society is fossil fuels. As such, you get rid of fossil fuels there, Sniffy Joe, you are raising taxes on all of us. In fact, it's funny, it's a regressive tax in that regard, because the rich can afford. That's why the rich is always the ones most worried about climate change, because they can afford the increased cost. Why do you think Germany costs so much for electricity in Germany? You want to take a guess? Because of reliance on renewables, unreliable renewables. Now, they get natural gas from Putin, I get it. Because you have to have a certain minimum just to meet it, and reliables, or it takes freaking some serious, to get up and running. It takes a lot of time and energy to get up and running to meet the base load demand. So Germany is expensive. All those European countries are. UK is going to be even more expensive because Boris Johnson's an idiot. I just can't believe I supported that guy. They're just another squish. They say, the wind's blowing this way. Now, I give Boris Johnson credit for taking the risk on the Brexit. But I mean, it's just this is where it used to be abortion was the number one thing for the Republican Party. For me, it's always been gun control. If you're in favor of gun control, I don't trust you at all. Or if you're in favor of some common sense gun control, you're going to be a squish. If for some on the right is abortion, for me, it's always been the Second Amendment. I'm a Second Amendment absolutist, without question. Slowly, because that has, I think the gun control argument has finally been won for our side, which is amazing. Our side actually wins, the good guys. For once for my life, we've actually won something. But at the end of the day, you always still got to be due diligence or eternal diligence to make sure that the gun grabbers don't take hold. And the way you do that, frankly, is to buy your own firearms. Anyway. The second thing is now climate change. That's why this guy Matt Gaetz, whatever, from Florida. A lot of conservatives are keen on this guy because he's out there, he's throwing around fists, but he's a green guy. And he's reasons he's a green guy because he feels like the youth is bought and sold on this hook, line, and sinker. He's probably right. But so if the youth is bought and sold on it, doesn't mean you freaking throw in with that. It means you make them change their minds by showing reality. People bought and sold on gun control back in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's only because of Wayne LaPierre and the NRA that we have now where we are today. But we didn't have Republicans, thankfully, who said, yeah, okay, well, the youth have bought this, so maybe we won't ban semi-automatic firearms. We'll just make them registered. No, we said, no, enough of that. We've already given you too much. So Matt Gaetz, or I don't even know, Gaetz. No, if they're a squish on green stuff, I don't want anything to do with it. Fossil fuels are you make a moral argument for fossil fuels, i.e. we need them for humanity. Humanity needs fossil fuels. Joe Biden wants to get rid of that. Joe Biden's endangering humanity. That's just a fact. He's certainly endangering your retirement plan, I'll tell you that right now, because you can't afford to live in a society with no fossil fuels. It's impossible. These people are just preying on your fear and ignorance. And frankly, I don't even think Joe Biden knows, but his freaking handlers do. You know why? Because they're all rich. Tom Steyer, Al Gore, Jeremy Grantham from GMO. They're all the UN, the World Economic Forum, the folks at Davos, Bezos and his crazy ex-wife. They're all rich. Melinda Gates and Bill, they got more money than God. And the thing that keeps them awake at night is the one thing they can't control, which is the environment. And as such, they feel, look, the pitchforks can't get me. I got my own private security. What can get me is a climate change catastrophe. And I don't know if that's likely or not, but it scares me enough that I'm willing to spend oodles and oodles of money to limit people's ability to use fossil fuels in order to provide me security. You're like, that's great, Bill. You can afford to live like that. You can afford to have a compound with a solar array, hell, probably even your own wind turbine. We can't. But Josh, you can put PV panels on your rooftop. Vast majority of Americans can't. They can't do it. But Josh, we have all this empty space throughout America. We can put solar farms and all those. You're not going to heat your house by distributing and transmitting freaking electricity like that using solar. It's not going to happen, my friends. In fact, it's funny because I was flying over the, when I was going to South Dakota, flying over a huge areas of the country that are just flat and sparse. And it's easy to make an argument, say, hey, it'd be wonderful to put a huge solar array in there, right? Especially if it's national land, or national land. No private property rights being used eminent domain. Go for it. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. There is not enough. Let me just cross the street real quick. You are not going to get enough from huge solar arrays to power the society we are accustomed to and the society that we're going into. A growing demand for electricity and energy as a whole. And as such, if you ban fossil fuels, you ban fracking, you freaking tax coal to death, like Obama and Hillary both proposed, all you're doing is you're raising taxes on not just the middle class, everybody. And if taxes go up on everybody, it's regressive, which means the poorer among us pay more as a share of their income to service a tax debt. This is evil stuff, my friends. Evil stuff. And only ignoramuses, ignorance, think this can be achieved. Sadly, the ignorant seems like they're on the ascendancy, whereas the knowledgeable are not. This is where I think you really got to take a deep, and I'm thinking about this with my own kids, a deep look at colleges. Colleges is spewing out ignorant people. And it used to be colleges spewed out educated people. That's not happening anymore. And as such, I think the college industry is actually a net loss, big time, to society. In fact, I saw a cartoon. There's these three kids in class, and you see like a comment from the teacher, "White men are the root of all evil." And one of the kids looks behind him and says, "Hey, I guess I'm in the wrong class. I'm looking for calculus." And the kid behind him says, "Oh, this is calculus class." Even in the STEM, we're getting the wokeness in STEM, which is nuts, which means that you have to assume that America's best days are behind you, man. When you got these idiots in science, you have to assume we're gonna have to go back to the old day of garage engineering, which is fine with me, but man, it's just nuts. So anyway, that's Joe Biden's massive tax increase that he does not hide. Be prepared and vote accordingly. All right, see you.